Well, a famous presidential historian now facing death threats simply for writing a brand new book comes out today about President Trump and the First Family. The new book, called Inside Trump's White House, the real story of his presidency, is in the stores today, but already the author has received a lot of threats toward him and his family. Here with more is the author and presidential historian, Doug Wead. Doug, good morning to you.
Good morning, Steve.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
I know it's always, this is the first time he's actually seen the book. It is a beautiful book.
Yeah.
But you're taking some heat from this. Who are these death threats coming from?
They don't know. The FBI had 4 theories about it, but the last one came last night when I checked into the hotel where I'm staying, which I won't mention. And so they're tracking it, and they first letter warned, named each of my children and where they lived and details about their life and my life, and said blood will flow, a lot of gory stuff you'd want to hear about if the book is released. My publisher said in 40 years, they're the second largest publisher in the world. In 40 years, they've never seen anything like this or had this happen. And they asked me, I could keep my advance and they'd withdraw the book.
Sure.
And my kids, everybody said no. I mean, we believe in freedom of speech, and there's anonymous. All these books can be written, and I've written a book about President Trump that's on the record, and his story needs to be heard too.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this book that somebody...
And the last threat came last night.
That's just extraordinary.
Yeah.
That's got to freak you out.
Yeah, it did.
Let's talk a little bit about the book that somebody doesn't want America to be able to read. What's it about? So you had a lot of exclusive chats with the First Family.
Yes.
And for instance, you do debunk a number of stories that are out there. One of them is the claim is that the President and the First Lady are estranged. And you have done the research, and as it turns out, the answer, we got it right there. It's not true.
It's false. Yeah, they're a great couple, and they love each other, and they're very playful, and the kids are filled with very funny stories about how they tease each other, and they're great.
Sure.
Totally different.
Another claim, Tiffany Trump is not supportive of her father's campaign. Going over to the big board, that's false too.
That's false too. And I was the first person and the only person that's interviewed Tiffany since her father won the election. She's adorable. She's wonderful. And do you know, she saw the White House for the first time in her life when she crossed the threshold. I said, wait a minute, you stayed at the Blair House the night before. You could have looked across the street. Right. She said, yes, but there was scaffolding up on Pennsylvania Avenue for the parade. Right. There were prefabricated buildings on the North Lawn. So she never, ever saw the White House till she crossed the threshold with her dad, who was president.
That is something. Tell us one thing people don't know about the Trumps. It's such a publicized family. Is there one thing that sticks with you, like you found it out and you go, oh, wow, I had no idea?
There's so many, but I'll tell you one thing that was most fascinating. It all came from the kids about their parents. The kids travel all over the world. Jared takes these trips to the Middle East, everywhere, and the kids are pulled into private meetings with heads of state throughout 2017, 2018, and they will say, please go home and tell your father we're so sorry he's going through this Russian collusion nonsense.
World leaders around
the world. I'm hearing this and I'm thinking, well, of course, I never had that perspective before. But if you're the president of France or the prime minister of the UK, or you're a dictator somewhere, you have to know by 6 p.m. tonight. You can't wait for 2 years for the Mueller report. So there's 120 intelligence agencies in the world. They all knew the answer to the Russian collusion within hours.
And yet, here we are.
Here we are.
All right, a brand new book, Inside the Trump White House, the real story of his presidency. Doug Wead, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, stay safe.